Hi, hi. All right, so Aquarians, we're going to go ahead and jump on into this. And this is kind of my artistic spin on kind of like an Akashic Records storyline. So, loosely I'll explain. Akashic Records are kind of like the concept that everything someone could do, will do, might do, has already been recorded in the Hall of Records. But I'm going to kind of change this just a little and say, okay, just for the time frame of the month of September, what avenue, what opportunity, what doorway or pathway might be open to Aquarius should they choose to accept? What would that look like? What could this month hold should they choose to take certain steps? Three of Swords, but this is not a typical Three of Swords. We see all of this, in this case, it's like a writing that has been carved into an ancient book. So it is a little bit like looking at, let's say the emerald tablets. It's a little bit like getting a peek into like where disappointments have occurred. This could be that our Aquarius could actually almost like scrying or looking into a crystal ball, they could be able to decipher the past, the present, and the future, specifically around things that have been mistakes, are mistakes, will be mistakes that would lead to a heartbreak. And they might be able to perceive these things as they, already exist or could occur. And then that allows them to reflect on it, deal with it, or bypass it altogether and choose a different path. We have a Tower. Yeah. I can stop doing the thing right now that is going to cause me grief in the future by getting this interesting peek into the future. Well, wait a second, how does this character do this? I mean, because that's amazing. That's like we could sit and we could say, okay, what thing might I be doing today that will, unravel or cause me grief up ahead? And can I go ahead and stop it right now and prevent that storyline from evolving? How would they do this? Seven of Cups. It is about sitting and seeing the different pathways. Now, I'm not really shocked to see the other zodiacs that I've done so far have been much more straightforward. But because Aquarius is kind of like the sign of the mystic in some respects, they look for the higher viewpoint. They see eras of time instead of just specific moments in time. I'm not surprised that this might be the zodiac that is more tapped into that whole Akashic record, Hall of Records, and able to kind of like get this vision of past, present, future. What are the pitfalls to avoid? Let me consider each one of those 7 cups. 7 is a divine number. Let me consider 7 different paths that my life could take, and let me logically, and also esoterically, let me close my eyes and meditate on what might happen if I took this action or that. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure story. But this Aquarius could sit down perhaps and contemplate 7 different pathways, 7 different actions they could take, 7 different ways that they could say something, 7 different ways that they could handle a situation. And they could ask themselves, let me go into my third eye, or let me go into my intuition, and let me ask myself which pathway or pathways would not bring me a positive outcome. And let me, because I do know, I probably already know, because it's probably already written, if I do this, this will be the outcome. Let me tap into that so I can not do that thing. Let me avoid catastrophe. Let me avoid pain and heartbreak. Let me make better choices. This is not like, okay, yay, done. They'll never have any mistake. They'll never, have a flat tire on their car. They'll never, accidentally, drop a really expensive vase and, shatter their money to smithereens. It doesn't mean that because they can sit and think about this, then it's like, oh, phew, okay, everything will be roses in my life for the rest of my life. It's not that. It's really allowing a character to, during this month, this is a great month for this particular fictional Aquarius, to contemplate where they're at in life right now. What actions are they taking? What plans do they have in their immediate future? Like I say, this is just looking at a 1-month timeline. And somewhere deep inside themselves, they already know the answer. If I do this, it could be a shit show. If I do this, it could have a great outcome. I instinctively already know, but this is a great moment to sit down and contemplate, because I think this Aquarius is enough of a mystic where they kind of already know certain things that I do are not going to have a good outcome. And if I want to avoid a negative outcome, a heartbreak, hurting somebody else's heart, I can do that by just putting in just a little bit of a moment of thought. I can certainly minimize negative outcomes if I recognize beforehand what I probably should stop doing, because every action has a reaction. And this Aquarius is more tapped into that than they've ever been. We have the Girl of Discs, which is the Page of Pentacles, and we have the Queen of Cups. I feel like this Aquarius they can alter the course of their entire life and make it really beautiful. They could like go from what my plans are could be altered in the month of September, where my entire life goes down a different road. I was living in a big city. I was, intending on working in some, I don't know, China shop, or I was working, or intending to like, I'll say, go to eat at a Chinese restaurant. I just say that because of the beautiful pottery that we see here. But in truth, what I've realized is I've sensed that's the wrong path for me. I shouldn't stay living out here and go out to eat at my favorite Chinese restaurant tonight or today, because I feel compelled to go someplace else. I need to go back to my childhood home. Let me take this weekend, and instead of having a stay at home, kick back and relax, go out to my favorite dinner on Friday night, I'm actually going to take the time and I'm going to go drive back to where I was raised. Maybe it's only a 2-hour drive, but I'm going to go back home for some reason. And it could be that it's a life-altering visit. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, it was so good to be around my family. It was so good to be back in my roots. And in fact, I want to live here again. I forgot how much I love being by the water. I forgot how much I love my childhood home. I forgot. This could be the little tiny seed that is planted that turns Aquarius's life on a completely different avenue. But it's all because they alter one or two little details. The time we didn't go to the grocery store, and instead we just went over to our Nana's house, and then it was just like a really heartfelt conversation. It changes, and we say, I want to move back to be around my Nana. Those kinds of things, those seemingly insignificant things that can alter the course of our life. I've had many of those things in my life. That's what I feel. This is big stuff, but coming from itty bitty details that can have massive impact. And it says, if our character, let's say they didn't, because our character doesn't have to do anything that they don't want to do. But let's say, for example, they think about all this and they go, yeah, well, I think I am still going to go ahead and go out to my favorite restaurant on Friday night. And I'm not going to go, like, for example, go back to my childhood home. They don't have to. And it doesn't mean that now, because they chose that path, oh no, something terrible will happen and I will be miserable and my heart will be broken. I will, have some negative outcome. It doesn't mean that. Remember, there's 7 cups. There's a lot of different ways life could go. But this did begin with, if we're trying to weed through what things are painful, what things would I like to stop doing because it's not actually yielding me great results, let me think about what things make me happiest, going out to a delicious Chinese dinner is fantastic, right? That makes me happy. But could I actually use that time wisely and do a few other things as well? This feels like we have a character who needs to be more mindful and just look right now, take stock, particularly in that esoteric way, and asking themselves from their soul level, what things am I doing right now that it would be a good idea to stop doing, because I would have a happier outcome if I stopped doing certain things, or if I changed and altered a path. Maybe they need to go out for that dinner at that delicious Chinese restaurant. Maybe that's something they need to do while they're thinking through all of this. It just feels like this Aquarius is going to need a quiet space to think internally, but they're also going to need a piece of paper to jot down, because you're going to have a flood of ideas of things in their life that are working well and other things that they, maybe this is a linear person who wants to write it down and say, okay, these are the things I'm currently doing. I kind of like them. Let me rate it out of 1 through 10. How much do I like the stuff I'm doing in every day in my life? Okay, that's a 3, that's a 5, that's a 9. Okay, but 3 weeks from now, will I still feel that way? Well, no, my happiness factor would go down, actually. Okay, the town that I'm living in, if I saw myself here in the next 5 years, would I still be that happy? What do I predict? Do I want to be here in 5 years? And it might be like, wow, my happiness factor falls to a 0. I don't intend to be here for 5 years. Okay, then maybe it's even time to start thinking about why. Is it the place that I live? Is it the environment? Is it that this isn't really resonating with me? What things might I need to change or start thinking about changing even now? What do I need to add into my life? Hey, have I been drinking a bunch? And it's like, oh, I love it with a good meal, but do I feel like crap? Yeah, I like it in the day. So in my present moment, it's delicious. It's a 10 of 10 happiness when I have a great drink to go along with my meal. But the next day, I don't like the way I feel. So my happiness factor goes down to maybe a -1. Okay, then maybe I should stop doing that. Maybe I should alter some things. All of this says it's a moment in time where during this month, our character could find themselves making much happier, robust, joyful choices that are going to bring them a much more well-rounded life, a much more satisfying life. But it's all because they do have to kind of think into the future just a little bit. But how do you think into the future without thinking about what we're doing right now and how that impacts our future? So I know I don't know if this is going to make much sense. Please let me know in the comments if this makes any sense. I think it makes a lot of sense, whether this person is an Aquarius or not. I think it makes a lot of sense to think about actions today and how they impact us on down the road by maybe rating things and then seeing it on paper and then saying, wow, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I can clearly see why that is not going to be a part of my future. That's something to alter. And we have an 8 of Wands in the reverse. It's funny because for this story, some things need to happen, other things need to stop. So let me see if I can change decks and ask, what is something that might need to stop for this character when they sit and they think about it? What is one of the things that they should give up on? 3 of Cups. If there is some kind of a connection out there where they're dealing with somebody who they feel like, I don't know that I'm really that into them, there's maybe somebody else that I'm more drawn to, or vice versa. I'm still holding on to someone or they're holding on to me, but I think that I'm like one of a choice. It's 3 of Cups instead of just the 2 of us. You know what? It's all fair and good that we all have to figure out what we want. But on the other hand, if they can't figure out how important I actually am, I don't think I want this anymore, because that's just going to give me grief. So I'm going to let that go. That anything where I think Aquarius feels like they're an option instead of a choice, I think they might let that go. 4 of Swords, the concept that they have to spend a long time healing or spend a lot of time on their like self-imposed silent journey. I think, and even thinking that I have to somehow achieve enlightenment before I can hear what the universe has to say, I think that's not something they need to keep considering either. I think this Aquarius, and we've already seen them as somebody who's like freaking attuned to the vision of their life and their connection to the universe and their connection to their own future. I think this person's pretty tapped in. So they're thinking that they have to find a way to get more silent, to, be able to hear the universe. I think that this Aquarius is hearing the universe loud and clear. We've described them in that way already. Okay, so what is something that they might want to add into their life, or an action that they might want to take aside from, like I say, going out for a delicious dinner, or going to see, going to their childhood home, or, going by the water and just having an amazing day by the river, the lake. Also, somebody could really enjoy doing their laundry. I know that sounds weird, but we have 6 of Wands. This Aquarius might want to start bringing things into their life that bring them tremendous like good vibes, accolades, the things that people pat them on the back for, even doing things that they earn a little bit of money off of because it's a talent. I mean, heck, maybe this is somebody who is like, well, I'm kind of an okay um, guitarist, but I don't have a paying gig. But maybe I'm going to go busk on the street, and people come up and drop money in their guitar case, and it's like, and getting appreciation for something that they do well can be so incredibly uplifting. We do have we have a cat here. This person has the head of like a leopard, and it could also be that maybe our character needs to go and spend a little bit of time working with animals, donating time to animals. If there was one thing that is, animals are so appreciative when they're treated kindly, and that could be something like going and donating a little bit of time or a little bit of something makes our character feel so good about like their contribution to the little creatures that we share this earth with, the other living creatures that are part of our our life. That could be the other way to look at this. Let me get one more here. There's opportunity to bring in so much light, and there's opportunity this month for our character to, wow, 9 of coins. We have an opportunity for money this month also. But the ability for this Aquarius to bring in such a flood of positive things, they could wind up saving money, particularly if this has anything to do with, connecting to something from our childhood, whether it's a childhood talent or whether it's going back and seeing family, sometimes reconnecting with people. I'm not saying they would be reconnecting with a family member or someone so that's like, hey, Nana, are you going to give me an inheritance? It's not like that. But sometimes the seemingly like whimsical choice to go and I haven't reached out to somebody that I care about in a long time. Even here we have the big fish, which can represent money. Maybe our character goes someplace a little bit off the beaten path, out of the way, and they end up getting a job or getting a side gig or a side hustle that pays really well, and it happens to be something that is like, wow, this is just kind of a side hobby of mine that I've always done. Or I meet an old family friend while I'm in town visiting Nana or something, and somebody offers me a job or offers me a place to live. Hey, I have a guest house, I'm going to be gone for 8 months, would you live in it? It's like, wow, I'll take that rent free. Like, abundance comes from a lot of different avenues. But I think this is doing the things, having the foresight to say, instead of just going through the motions of life, doing the things that we're doing without thinking about it, the big message for September is, if this Aquarius wanted to, they could pause and they could sit down with themselves and they could ask themselves those very pertinent questions. What things have I been doing that currently aren't making me happy? If I continue to do certain things, do I already know that certain things will make me unhappy? Then why don't I put a stop to that? And how might things go different? What would I do in order to change some of those actions? And then we have all these positive answers, and then we yield all these positive results. I actually really love this. I wish it wasn't just an Aquarius storyline, only because I feel like this is so relatable to any character of any zodiac who's ever wanted to alter the outcome of their life. And it makes it so simple. It's not really about manifesting per se. It's more about awareness. But what an amazing gift for this character to be such a mystic. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.